Okay, so this session, as I stated, is being recorded. Attendees have the ability of receiving 1 credit CE hour, 1 continuing ed hour. If you need a certificate of attendance or a certificate for continuing education, Joanna and I actually will be sending out an email following today's session, probably tomorrow, after we're able to upload the recording onto YouTube. So you can just respond to that email, no need to jump on it beforehand unless you want to, and that's completely fine. So we are going to go ahead and get started. If you have any questions, you can pose them in the chat. And actually, as we navigate through the first slide, if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat so that we get a group feel for this session, that would be really fantastic. So Joanna, you want to go ahead and go into the next slide? Okay, excellent. So I failed to ask, can everyone see the screen? I'm going to assume, thank you. Thank you.
You got a yes.
Excellent. That's the question I always ask, and because we just jumped into it, I failed to ask that question. So just wanted to let everyone know what the objectives are for today. We had put this in the registration description, but I did want to simply reinforce it here. So at the end of this program, it is intended that you, the participants, will be able to identify where statistics are located on each platform, determine which statistics will be useful to your library, because within all of these platforms, there are some stats that really may not be relevant to what it is that you're hoping to accomplish for your library. And also, we're going to be giving everyone the opportunity to swap ideas with the other participants here as to how each one of you currently collects social media statistics. That does mean there will be breakout rooms. We do like to give people that information ahead of time. And so we will be placing you into small breakout rooms. It's intended that there will be about 4 to 5 people per breakout room, just so for some idea sharing and swapping, because everyone does it differently. And sometimes it's really nice to hear about that information. A very important note for today's session. The information we are reviewing today does not address annual reporting. I know it's a question that we at the system receive often. We're not going to be going over that today. We have not received any guidance in collecting statistics for the annual reports, nor have we actually received any guidance on the summer reading statistics. So if that in fact was what you had intended on hearing about today, it will not be covered today. Okay, and if you have any questions about that, you can send myself or Joanna an email, or you can post it in the chat. Unfortunately, we just don't have the information. So with that, I see that we have many hellos and introductions in the chat. So thank you so much for putting that information in there. And I'm going to turn it on over to Joanna.
Hi, everyone. If you don't know me, I'm Joanna Goldfarb. I'm the Youth Services Consultant at RCLS. So these are the platforms that we are going to cover today. So we'll be using the RCLS accounts for Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We are also going to cover Instagram, but since RCLS does not use Instagram, we're going to be using a different account for that. And I do want to reiterate that if at any point you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat so you don't forget them. But we are going to hold off for questions until the end. All right, this is again what we are not going to cover. We are not going to cover TikTok, podcasts, and again, the annual report statistics or the summer reading report. We also are not going to cover marketing strategies for the social media platforms we are talking about today. However, if you have questions about marketing strategies, we're happy to provide any information or resources after this presentation on social media marketing. So if you need that information, send one of us an email and we will share that. All right, so now we're gonna just jump right in to Facebook. So this is what we are covering today. So page versus profile, an overview of statistics, likes, reach versus engagement, and people. So I'm going to stop sharing just for a moment and then jump into the RCLS Facebook page. Okay, does everyone see Facebook now? Okay, awesome. So first, the difference between a Facebook profile and a Facebook page. A profile is for an individual, so your personal Facebook account is a profile, and a page is for a business or an organization. So RCLS has a Facebook page. Today, we're only covering Facebook pages. So moving right along, this, where my cursor is hovering, is the page insights, also known as all of your Facebook statistics. They're all listed on the left-hand side of the page, so we're pretty much just going to go straight down the line to learn what everything is. I am going to skip a few of them for the sake of time, but I do encourage everyone to explore these, click through them, and take a look on your own. So starting with followers. This is fairly straightforward. How many people followed your page, when they followed or unfollowed, where the follows happened. So right now we see the total followers. Down here we see unfollowed, organic followers, and paid followers, and where your page follows happened. So if someone went straight to our Facebook page and followed there, it would show up as on your page. Uncategorized desktop is uncategorized and we just don't really know. And if someone had searched specifically for us somewhere on Facebook, it would show up there. So we don't have any of those. As for unfollowers, I see here that on May 5th and April 13th, someone unfollowed us. So I might want to go back to those days and those posts and see what we posted that might have put someone off. All right, so ads. We don't have any ads, so not much going on here. But if you boost a post, all of the resulting statistics will be on the ads insights. Okay, moving on to likes. The likes, it's the same information as followers. I don't know why that is. If someone does know, please feel free to put that information in the chat. Yeah, not much to talk about with likes. So we're just going to go straight on to reach. So when you think of your post reach, think of it as a person is walking into the library and they look at a flyer. So they know that you are having a program and you reached them. Engagement, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, is that person then walking into the room to attend the program, or in this case, clicking on the Zoom link or watching the video. I did not come up with that analogy myself, and I can't remember who did, so unfortunately I can't give them credit, but I find it really helpful. If we had any boosted posts, so if we had paid for some sort of post to reach more people, it would show up here under paid. but we don't. So right now it only shows organic reach. The reason for these peaks right here is we're a little lax about posting for a bit, but we have started posting again. So now our page has a higher reach. If you have used Facebook stories, again, that information will be here. We at RCLS do not, so we don't have any sort of statistics like that. Same with recommendations. There's reactions. So if someone, clicks on your post and it has, the like or the love or now they have the care reaction, that's going to show up here. So that's we're going to talk about, again, going down the line, page views next. So what I like to do for page views is go by section, which is right. So here you can see how many people looked at each individual part of your page. So if someone looked at your photos or your about page, that information is in by section. And I mean, there's further up breakdowns on who looked at each section by these demographics, age, country, city, and so on. So if you are interested in that information, it is available to you. We don't have any action statistics because we don't have any action buttons. But if you have a button that it might link to your website, it might be a donate button, something like that, the use of those action buttons will be found here on the actions on page section of your insights. Now we're going to get to the good stuff. So we are talking about posts. This page will show you which posts are popular and break it down by reach, which again is someone just looking at the flyer, and engagement is when someone walks into the program. So your engagement, which is this column here, means that someone liked or commented on a post. Also, if you click on a post, it's going to break it down so you can see more detailed statistics about that post. So here we can see those reactions, the like, the love, the wow. We can see how many people loved this post directly on our page, or if someone shared this post, how many of those loves were on that share. So I would like to encourage everyone to take note of the types of posts that are popular and what your community is interested in. Here we can see here, these are our most popular posts. And it's content and pictures that are original to us. So we didn't share it, we didn't post a link, we just posted something we took a picture of or created, usually in Library Aware. And the reason those are more popular is likely because libraries share it. So we need to make an effort to do more of that. So please give your community what they like, but don't be afraid to experiment. Try new posts here and there. You never know, something new might become popular on your Facebook page. Next, we're going to talk about events. Again, we haven't posted any events recently, so this is going to be kind of empty. But if you do use the events page in Facebook programs, definitely keep an eye on these statistics. We're going to skip over videos and stories because, again, RCLS doesn't have any of those types of posts. So looking at those pages, it'll be like the events page. There's not anything there to show you. If you do post videos, which I am guessing a lot of you do, and can use Facebook stories, explore those pages a little bit more and learn about what types of statistics are offered there. So heading over to people. The people statistics are going to show you the demographic information of who is looking at your Facebook page, including the gender, the age, and the location. It also has the language. So if you notice that there's a lot of people, a lot of Spanish-speaking people looking at your Facebook page, you might want to consider more Spanish posts and stuff like that. If the majority of the people looking at your Facebook page are in their 50s and no one is in their teens, like RCLS, don't post a meme about middle parts and scrunchies. Post to your audience. Our statistics for followers and people reached are all the same as fans. So these are our followers, these are our people reached. For us, it's all the same information. If we use boosted posts and feed content, that would likely change, and it would be worth digging deeper into these other tabs on the people insights. And the last item we are going to look at are messages. If you promote Facebook as a way for patrons to reach you, do stay on top of this. You want to make sure you have a quick response time. So our response rate is 8 hours and 37 minutes. That's how long it takes us on average to answer a Facebook message. Our responsive rate is 80%. We don't get many Facebook messages, so answering them as soon as we see them isn't usually an issue. But if you do get a lot of messages and it's taking you time to get to all of them, you might want to consider setting an autoresponder to let people know that their message went through, you received it, and you will respond as quickly as possible. You can set up an autoresponder on your page settings under messaging. So that's all I have about Facebook. So if you have questions, again, please put them in the chat and we will answer them later. But now we are going to move on to Instagram. Stop sharing Facebook. And go back to, hopefully everyone sees the slide that says Instagram now.
Yes.
Okay. So first, again, RCLS doesn't have an Instagram account. So I am using my personal business account. So if you, throughout the presentation, if you notice some things covered, I did use screenshots. That's the account information. And again, this is a business account. A personal account will not have all of the statistics and insights that we're going to go over today. Here we go. If you're following along on your Instagram account, this is where you'll find out if you have a business account or a personal account. So if you click these 3 lines at the top right corner, and then you don't see this insights option, you do not have a business account. I'm sorry, you have a personal account. If you do have a business account, you will click on insights and be prepared for a wealth of information. So the first thing you are going to see is an overview. This overview shows that I don't update this account nearly enough. Here, anything with this little arrow on the right-hand side means that if you click on that item, you will get more detailed statistics. I will also say that there are some statistics that are in multiple places, like your top posts. So the accounts reached. This is kind of similar to Facebook in that reach means that someone scrolled through their feed and saw a post. It doesn't mean that they stopped to look at it or read it or admire it, but it did make its way past someone's eyeballs. That information, the interactions, will be under the content interaction section, and we're going to save that for last. So this is your audience page. This and top posts, which we're going to talk about next, are, in my opinion, the most useful insights. The demographic information, just like Facebook, is incredibly helpful as it will help you guide you as to what kind of content you're going to post, not just on Instagram, but for any social media account. So this particular account's target audience is millennials. And we can see here, that's exactly who's looking at it. So I'm not posting a lot, but I'm reaching who I want to reach. Next up is interactions. Here you can see that this account has very few interactions, 12. If I post on a more regular basis, that would likely change. You can see the breakdown of likes, or 11 post likes in this time period, again, April 23rd to 29th, and 1 comment. What I do also want to point out here is this section at the bottom for top posts. If you do click on this section, it will show you little thumbnails of your posts in order from the most popular to the least popular. And that will give you a good sense of if your audience likes memes or video clips or pictures or so on. And that is really it for Instagram statistics. So I'm going to stop sharing now and hand things over to Jen to talk about Twitter.
Okay. Did you want me to share the slide for Twitter, Joanna, or just jump into it? Because I feel like we're doing a lot of screen sharing, so I actually may just jump into it.
Guys, we're going to just jump here.
It's very exciting. All right, here we go. So can everyone see my screen? I'm going to assume you can, unless I hear otherwise. All right. So this is the RCLS Twitter page. We are at the front of the page, and so this is a business account. We have just the general feed right in the middle. And I will be honest, I do not use Twitter for personal use at all. So my knowledge of Twitter is actually only what I have done within RCLS. And so we see here on the left-hand side, we have the various, the hashtags to explore, notifications, which I've already looked at today's notifications, so that's empty. We have no messages, lists, and so on and so forth. But if I click more, this is what's going to be of interest to us over here. And for today, we're really going to be looking at analytics. So I'm going to go ahead and click on analytics, and we're going to explore this page. So we come to our analytics page, and what I first want to draw your attention to is the URL at the top. We see analytics.twitter.com. So this is where you could actually go, rather than through your Twitter page, you can just navigate to analytics.twitter.com and put in your user info if that's what you wanted to check out in terms of the Twitter analytics rather than through the page. I personally like to go through our Twitter page because it allows me to see what's happening with people who are following. And so that way I don't forget to check out other people's accounts. But that's just what works for me personally. At the top here, we see what's happening over a 28-day summary. We are down a couple of tweets, we're down some impressions. And so, of course, when I first see this, I say, oh my gosh, what has been happening? But then we consider what happened in April. And if we can't remember what happened in April, we're going to be navigating down the page to remind ourselves. Profile visits, mentions, and we see that actually we do have a couple of followers that came up. So let's go down. And we have on this page, it actually goes month by month, which is really quite nice. It tells us what the top tweet is right from the get-go, the top media tweet, our tweet impressions, right? So those are what came up in people's feed, those impressions, and the actual profile visits. And if I come down, oh, I went a little too far, sorry. There's April. So we can see now, remember, it's only May 10th right now. So those statistics aren't exactly complete for the month. So that's always something to keep in mind when you're looking at your stats. So I really can't adequately analyze our May stats with our April stats because we haven't completed the month yet. So we can see what's happened in April and remind us that, oh, right, it was National Library Week. And we made a strong engagement towards legislators during National Library Week this past, during the 2021 National Library Week. So we see that we had 16 tweets for the month, 6,000 tweet impressions. Our profile visits are stronger. We have more mentions. We had more followers. So again, the tweet highlights are listed here. And let's just look at one more month. Let's take a look at March. Okay, so March was a very light month in terms of tweets, mostly because we were coming off of lobby day, right? So that's when we were meeting with all the legislators online. And so we were full force with Twitter. And so we kind of took it down a few notches for the month of March. From a marketing standpoint, it's not something I would recommend, but there's only so much that we could do because we do have other job duties and responsibilities. But you can see what's here, you know, what was mentioned, top followers, and so on. And if you keep scrolling down, you'll see, you know, you can get February and so on and so forth. But we're going to navigate to another area. So this is a really nice overview of just like the surface, what's happening, you know, what has happened in the past. Again, it's a nice reminder. So at the very top here, next to analytics, we have home. We're under the home tab currently, but I want to go to tweets. So when I go to tweets, I can now look at the data from a broader viewpoint with our information statistics. And so we see here that I am gathering the impressions, you know, again, what was just put in front of people's eyes as they're scrolling through Twitter. We can see the different days, right? Which is really quite nice because then we can navigate to those days and say, you know, well, what was posted surrounding those days? You know, what are the hashtags that were used and so on. So all of that information is here. Twitter will actually provide you with an average, which is quite nice. So we can see, you know, 55 impressions per day. And if I scroll down, it's telling us, you know, what the tweets were with the impressions, engagements, as well as the engagement rate. So let me just scroll back up, see where everyone can see that. So again, like if you ever forget, you know, what are impressions, what are engagements, engagement rate, it's right here for your reminder. We have engagements, right? So any clicks on the tweet, this includes the hashtags, links, username, expansion, retweets, replies, follows, and likes. So engagements tends to be of good insight as to what is getting your community to engage with your social media posts. And we can, well, I was going to say we can scroll down, but we've actually reached the end of our selected date range. So if we want to, oh, this is another good thing. It's another way of looking at the engagements over here. So I'm just going to come back up. And instead of the last 28 days, let's take a look let's look at February. Because again, this was when we were advocating, right? So Advocacy Day, which became Advocacy Week this year because it was all online, was occurring. So I think this would be of great insight to us. So we can look here and get a closer view as to when you're really posting heavily on Twitter, you know, what does it look like? And so we can see, again, the impressions, engagement rate, hashtags that are used, and so on. So you have the ability of focusing on a specific time period, a month, last 7 days, last 28 days, and so on and so forth. And that's all here. Okay, and you can go further. All right, you can export the data. I'm not going to do that because I tried it earlier. And so when I export the data, I'm going to need to stop sharing my screen to reshare my screen. And so we're just going to move on. But if you have any questions about exporting the data, you can always put that in the chat. It's very similar to any other type of export that would occur anywhere else. Okay, so again, just a quick exploration. Can look at the top tweets. Let's see if there it goes. So what are the top tweets, you know, for that month? You know what happened? Tweets and replies. As it comes, there we go. And again, we're always looking at these numbers for statistical purposes. All right. So you can see on the left-hand side, there's a great, or I'm sorry, on the right-hand side, there's a great deal of information here. So we earned 11 likes per day during this time period. 4 retweets, ooh, try saying that 5 times fast, without comments, and so on. So all of that is here. Again, analytics.twitter.com. That's where you're going to find this information, all right? But let me go back to the front page. Just a reminder, if you are looking there from here, front page, more, analytics, all right? And if you purchase ads, you'll have analytics under ads as well. All right, so all of that is there for you. So moving on from Twitter, we are going to be looking at YouTube. And RCLS has a YouTube channel. Here it is. This is actually where we place our recorded continuing education programs. So this program will be placed on our YouTube channel following this session once it is uploaded. Okay, and so I'll be sending out the link to there. So if you wanted to take a look at our YouTube videos, they're here. You can see that we have them, you know, we can go by recently added and so on and so forth. But what I'm really interested in is on the left-hand side, I'm interested in our videos. Again, this is the RCLS page. So I'm going to click on your videos. And there we go. So one of the things I like to look at is after I send out a link to a YouTube video, you know, who has clicked that fairly recently, right? Well, not who, but the number of views that have occurred. So I just sent out the link to, we had an advocacy series session with Jamie LaRue. And you can see the date for I haven't sent out this first one, so I'm going to look at the second one, was April 23rd, and we've already had 25 views. So to me, that's quite telling that that's of interest or value to our community. And as I scroll down further, I can just take a look at the views. And as we found out as we were preparing for today's sessions, we actually had a like, but that's of also, you know, good insider value, perhaps for your statistics, taking a look at what's liked, you know, from month to month, how many likes come through, and so on. Now you will see that some of our videos are not public, so we do take that into consideration with reporting statistics just for internal purposes, because that means that unless someone has the link, they're not going to be able to view that video. So anyone that does not receive my email regarding the library advocacy series, they will not be able to view that video. So something to take into consideration when looking at your statistics. Okay. Go down, there we go for that. On the left-hand side, we're going to take a look at the analytics now. So YouTube does also have analytics. And again, just telling information, what our channel, you know, what the views were for the channel. Now, we really increased usage of the YouTube channel once the pandemic began and many of our programs, or all of our programs, you know, moved to online. We actually began recording the sessions, and once the presenter said, okay, we would place them on YouTube. So we have had a stark increase in engagement on YouTube because we really just have started using YouTube on a weekly basis at this point. So we can look here just for the channel analytics. There's an overview. Again, it's telling you the time period. So we can take a look at lifetime. So we can go ahead and look at that. Our watch hours, subscribers. Okay, as I scroll down, our top videos are here as well. We can take a look, Goshen Public Library sample report, and so on and so forth. The views, again, so here we have total views. But what we also may want to consider when looking at statistics is the average view duration. Now, I'm going to come down a little bit. Ooh, ooh. Here we go, see more. Beautiful. Here we go. And I'm going to scroll down if my computer allows me to. There we go. And so we're able to see here, it's listed from the highest number of views to the lowest number of views. And again, this is all of great assistance and is telling. And what we actually found when I was looking at the statistics last year, that our older videos that we really haven't taken a look at in terms of statistics in a while, they were still getting views. And the reason for that was as we were pushing out the newer videos, our older videos were being seen because people were visiting our YouTube page. And so Just something to keep in mind, don't negate those older videos on YouTube. They still may be getting some views if they are found to be relevant by your community. Similar to the other social media sites, geography. I know it's surprising, Ukraine, right? But something resonated. Any information gained, viewer age, gender, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to go back. Here we go. Excellent. Something else that you may find to be of value is if you have comments on your videos. We do not. Yeah. So, but that may be of interest to you. Again, the reach may be of interest. Now, this is the past 28 days. If we scroll down, you can actually see, this is what's amazing about, what I find to be amazing about YouTube analytics. Look at this, impressions and how they led to watch time, right? And this gives you some more insight. So we can see that there were 2,200 impressions. And then actually, if you hover over it, did you see that 2,202 came up? So it does give you an exact number. It's not just an approximate. And it says 3.6% from YouTube recommending your content. So that's, again, it may be of great insight. Scroll down, there's just some more information. So there's a lot here to go through. See, it says the proportion of your total traffic and so on. When we send out the follow-up email with the online evaluation form, as well as the resources, I'm also going to provide links that will send you to articles on analyzing YouTube statistics and pulling it apart and what the various jargon is referring to, because I realize it's a lot, right? And so it's just a whole other world with the impressions, the clicks, and what did this mean and that mean and so forth. So don't feel overwhelmed. All of this can be parsed apart by visiting further videos and information and tutorials. So think of this more so as your intro and overview, right? So you're just getting a feel for it all. And now you'll be able to pick it apart a little bit, right? So at this point, I'm going to stop share. Right, before we move into breakout rooms, does anyone have any questions relating to the 4 social media sites that we just visited?
Question in the chat. And you have the page linked to staff accounts. We do, unfortunately, and I'd love to figure out a way to make it separate. So yes, that is something that Facebook has done somewhat recently in the past couple of years. You do have to link a page to a person, and that's to cut down on bots and dummy accounts and ways to hold people accountable, that sort of thing. What we did was we made a dummy account for Facebook, so we don't have a staff account, an actual staff person linked to it. However, to make a dummy account, you still do need a real cell phone number and a real email. And Jen, do you remember if there was anything else that you needed to make the account?
No, it was only the cell phone and email.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking that was odd.
Mm-hmm. So you will still need some of your or someone's real information on there to create the account. But that way you can at least not have your name attached to your library's Facebook page. I do want to make it clear that on the back end, when you post something, it'll say who posted. So like if I posted something, it would say Joanna Goldfarb posted. If Jen posted, it would say Jen Park posted. But that information is not on the viewer side. So that's just for us to see who posted what. But yeah, you do need a page or a profile rather linked to a page.
Okay, great. So we are going to go ahead and move into breakout rooms. And so the question prompt, there's actually going to be two. We would like for you to discuss among yourselves, what are the social media sites that your library uses? And then the second question prompt is, how do you currently gather your statistics? Is it working? Is it not working? What's the method that's best suited for you? And don't worry about remembering these question prompts. I will send it out to the breakout room so you'll see it ahead of time. Okay. Oh, thank you, Joanna. All right, so the rooms will be open. We'll have it open. We're running a bit ahead of schedule, so we'll keep them open for 8 minutes. So talk among yourselves. Please designate one note taker, because when we do come back, we'll have all the rooms report out the conversations that were had in terms of which platforms you are using and the ways in which each one feels best suited for gathering the information from the social media accounts. All right. So with that, I'm going to open up all the rooms and you can go ahead and join them. And we'll see you back here in a little bit. Okay, if you're having difficulty joining the room, please let me know. Okay.
Olga and Newberg, whoever it is from Newberg, you should have received a little pop-up that prompted you to join a breakout room, and you just have to click join and you'll be moved in.
All right, we're doing very well on time.
Yes, we are.
Welcome back. Okay, so everyone should be back. Well, welcome back. We would like to hear, how it went with the discussion. So from the first room, in which Amina, you were a part of that room. Who was the note taker?
I guess that was me.
All right, Anne Marie, how did it go?
It went well. Amina and I were probably in the same boat because we took this class because we weren't really sure. We haven't really been doing much of statistics, paying attention to that and whatnot. But Cheryl from Monticello had given us an idea of what they do, and they do report to their board regarding, like for example, Facebook. She was saying they do page likes, reach, posts, top posts, what was most engagement, page views, how many comments. They also do libraryware stats. She said that some people want to do TikTok, I think was what she said, but they're basically bullet points that they report back to the board, and they're very interested in that, which I'm amazed at because I think that's great because I want to start doing the same thing for us and paying more attention to that stuff. So,
Yeah, that sounds great. Awesome. Sounds like a good conversation.
Very informative. Yeah. Great.
Wonderful. Yeah, and thank you, Cheryl, for sharing that information. And I just saw Amina put in the chat that she was on a reference call. So that's what's going to happen. So thank you, room one. Room two, Melissa was in that room. Would room two like to share? Oh, you don't have a mic. Is anyone from that room able to share out?
Someone took notes, feel free to copy and paste a few points and put them in the chat.
Sure. That would be great, Melissa. Yeah, anything to add would be really wonderful. And in the third room, last but not least, Susan was involved in that room. I don't remember quite who else was. So anything to share from room three?
Okay, it's not Susan, it's Myrna. For some reason, her name is up, but that's okay. Our room didn't work out very well. There was another library. I don't know if they had video, and they just mentioned that they used all 4 platforms. But we didn't have any other real conversation. At West Nyack, we don't use Twitter or Instagram very much. We do use Facebook to post notices. And now during the pandemic, we've been putting up all our recorded videos. I think they're all on Facebook and some are on YouTube. And all we really do is look to see how many views there were. And we do keep those on a spreadsheet. I know I'm somewhat confused because we don't know if people just paused and looked at the video for 2 seconds and went on to something else, or if they really watched it through to the end. And that's something I'd love to know how to find out.
Are you referring to Facebook or YouTube?
Facebook.
Facebook. I wonder if I could find that information. I know because we don't post videos to Facebook, so we wouldn't have any of those statistical insights, but I'm sure I could find an article or a video to provide further information, and I'll send that out as we send out the follow-up email.
Great. That would be a big help.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, thank you. Melissa, do you happen to have the answer then by any chance?
I'm just looking at the views part of Insights again, without actually having posted any videos. If we had, we'd be able to see the minutes viewed and 3-second views. So if someone just looked at 3 seconds and then kept scrolling, or if they looked for a more significant amount of time. Yeah, again, if we had videos posted, I don't know if there would be more options open to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Joanna, that looks like what I can see. We have a lot of videos posted in Monticello, and it will show me if I click on videos and then click on the little info button next to it, it'll show you the breakdown, each one, and then the number of views that watched it fully through and the number that have 3-second video views.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
Cheryl.
It does break that down for you. And then it shows you a little graph of the percentage too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
No problem.
That was great. So we've actually reached the end of our program. It is, oh, and we're over. I apologize. It's 11:32. So let me just quickly share my screen because we do have, oh, let me bring up. You know, no matter how many times you use Zoom, you always forget to bring up what you want to share.
Jen is bringing up her screen. I will say that I, during Instagram, forgot to mention Instagram stories and Instagram TV. I personally don't use them, so I didn't have any statistics to share, but those pieces of information will be in the same location. So under Insights, Account Reach, etc. You just have to scroll down a little bit, and it's towards the bottom of those sections where it shows your stories, statistics, and IGTV.
Yeah, thank you. After this program, if you have any further questions, you know, feel free to reach out to Joanna and myself. This is our contact information. Again, you'll be receiving it in that follow-up email. And then the last slide, and again, I'll send this in the follow-up email, that I just wanted to draw attention to. WebJunction has a lot of videos, and in fact, they do have a social media analytics video. So WebJunction is a great place to gain further insight. Tech Talk, so through Southeastern, RCLS has a Tech Talk username and login. So again, they have a number of videos. We had also last April had a presenter from the Newburgh Library, Chris Morgan, presented on virtual programming on social media. So we have that on the RCLS YouTube page. And again, that will be shared. And last but not least, the University of Alberta has actually curated a LibGuide with social media analytic information, which is of great value as well to take a look at. So again, we'll be sending all of this out for you to peruse on your own time. And I see, do we have a question that came through? So if you, I can't pull up the questions, Joanna, so if you don't mind, or the chat.
I don't see a question.
Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna stop my share. And we have a question, do you have any additional information on Facebook analytics going away?
No, I do not have any information on that. I'm sorry.
Okay. Users got an email from Facebook stating that this was happening on June 30th. I didn't receive an email about that, so I'm going to look into that a little bit further. There are third parties you can also contract with for social media analytics. I did not put them on here because I am not promoting another organization that we have not used. But feel free to pose it to any of your library listservs to see if anyone uses a particular company or vendor. Okay. So again, we are over. This session has been recorded and will be made available to everyone. Does anyone have any further questions? All right, remember this was just an overview. Spend hours on this topic, but it is of great interest and value, and so maybe we'll explore it further and dive a little bit further. So thank you everyone for attending. Joanna, do you have any final words?
Other than I'm looking at the Facebook Insights page and I don't see any notifications or any banners advising that analytics is going away. And I'm assuming, and we all happen to know what happens when you assume, that Facebook would make that information abundantly clear in every single place that they could if analytics was going away.
Here, someone put the link. There we go. So we'll explore this further, but also feel free to do so on your own. All right. So thank you, everyone. Have a really great day.